The phone rang on a cold December afternoon, just 2 days before Christmas. I was in my little kitchen in Phoenix, stringing popcorn for the tree the way I had every year for 42 years. My son Richard's name lit up the screen. I smiled as I answered, "Hi, sweetheart." His voice was flat, cold. "Mom, don't come this year. Dinner's just for Carla's family." The popcorn string slipped from my fingers, fell to the floor like tiny white snowflakes. If your heart's already hurting a little, hit that subscribe and tap the bell so we can sit together again real soon. And tell me quick in the comments, where are you watching from, sweetheart? I was 69 years old, 42 years of raising that boy alone after his father left, 42 years of making his favorite pecan pie, 42 years of hanging his stocking even after he moved out. And now, I was uninvited. "What do you mean, just Carla's family?" I asked, my voice steady even though my hands had started to shake. "Carla wants to do something special for Gabriel," he said. "Her parents are coming from France. It's formal, refined. You know, refined." I knew exactly what he meant. I was the coupon-clipping grandma in the moss green dress I'd worn 3 Christmases running. I was the one who brought homemade cookies instead of imported caviar. I was the one who told long stories about when Richard was little, while Carla's parents sipped $500 champagne. I was not refined enough. "That's fine, sweetheart," I said, surprising even myself with how calm I sounded. Richard was quiet for 5 long seconds. "Really, Mom? You're not upset?" "No, honey," I said. "Enjoy yourselves." I hung up. Then I looked at the gold key ring on the table, the one that belonged to my new $15 million beachfront mansion in Palm Beach, Florida, the one I had bought 3 days earlier, waiting for the perfect moment. A smile curved my lips, the kind of smile that had been missing for 15 years, because the weak Grandma Margaret they knew died with that phone call, and someone new, someone strong, someone rich, someone they never saw coming, was about to rise from the ashes. If your chest is already tight, hit that like button right now, subscribe, and tap the bell, because what comes next will make you cheer, cry, and maybe even stand up and clap for a 69-year-old woman who finally decided enough was enough. I hung up the phone and stood there in my little kitchen, the one with the faded yellow curtains. I sewed myself 25 years ago, and I let the silence wrap around me like an old quilt. At 69 years old, I should have been used to disappointment. But this one cut deeper than any before, because it wasn't just exclusion, it was deliberate cruelty. I walked to the living room, sat in the rocking chair my husband Robert built when Richard was born, and I let the memories flood in. 15 years of small cuts that added up to one big wound. It started after Robert died. I was 54 then, still strong, still working part-time at the library, still driving myself to book club and church supper. But grief makes you vulnerable, and vulnerable people are easy to manage. First it was Mom. "Let us handle the bills. You shouldn't have to worry." Then Mom, "The house is too big. Maybe think about downsizing." Then the pitying looks when I showed up to family gatherings in my old dresses. Carla was the worst. She had married Richard 10 years ago, brought her refined French parents and their standards. She never missed a chance to remind me I didn't belong. The birthday party for Gabriel when he was 5. She forgot to invite me until the day before, then acted surprised when I arrived with a homemade cake. The bakery was closed, I said. Carla smiled that tight smile. Oh, Mrs. Margaret, we have a caterer. But thank you. The cake sat untouched in the kitchen while they served $300 imported desserts. The Christmas 2 years ago when she seated me at the children's table, because there wasn't room at the adult one. I smiled and ate chicken nuggets with the grandkids while Carla's parents discussed wine vintages in French. The time she handed me $20 for groceries so you don't have to use those embarrassing coupons. I took the money. I smiled. I said thank you, because that's what good mothers do. We swallow. We pretend it doesn't hurt. We tell ourselves they mean well. But that afternoon, after Richard's call, I stopped swallowing. I walked to the bedroom, opened the closet, pushed aside the winter coats, and unlocked the small safe hidden in the wall. Inside were the papers no one knew about. Investment statements showing balances in the millions. Property deeds for land that had skyrocketed in value. The contract for the $15 million beachfront mansion in Palm Beach I had signed 3 days earlier. $15 million. Cash. No mortgage. My name only. I held the gold key ring in my hand, felt its weight, and I made a decision. The woman they called poor Grandma Margaret was done playing small. That evening, I made my first phone call to my sister Olivia, who hadn't been invited to family Christmas in 2 years because Carla said she talked too much. Olivia, I said when she answered, do you have plans for Christmas? I was going to spend it alone. She said, voice small, after what Carla did last year. Forget Carla, I said. I'm having Christmas at my new home. A real celebration. With everyone who truly loves me. Silence. Then, Margaret. What new home? I smiled into the phone. The one with 8 bedrooms. An infinity pool. And a private beach. Another silence. Then Olivia laughed. The first real laugh I'd heard from her in years. I'll be there, she said. What should I wear? Something elegant. Darling, I said, it's going to be the Christmas of our lives. I hung up and made the next call. To my cousin Maurice, the mechanic Carla once asked to wash his hands better before dinner. Maurice, I said, Christmas at my place this year. Bring the whole family and tell them to dress sharp. He was quiet. Margaret, your place? The apartment? No, I said. My mansion. I could hear him sit down hard. Jesus, Margaret. How? Long story, I said. But it ends with the best party this family has ever seen. And Richard and Carla won't be on the guest list. I hung up the phone after talking to Olivia and Maurice, sat back in my rocking chair, and let the memories come like a slow-moving storm. 15 years of red flags I had pretended were just family growing pains. It started small. After Robert died, Richard and Carla were so helpful. They took care of the funeral arrangements. They handled the bank accounts so I wouldn't have to worry. I was grieving. I let them. Then came the first Christmas after Robert was gone. I showed up with my homemade pecan pie, the one Robert loved. Carla took one look and said, oh, Mrs. Margaret, we have a caterer this year. But thank you. The pie sat on the counter all night, untouched. Richard never said a word. Red flag number 1. Then Gabriel was born. I was so excited to be a grandmother. I wear upon booties. Bought the cutest little outfits from the department store sales. Carla opened them with that tight smile. Very sweet, she said, but my parents sent things from Paris. The booties went in a drawer. Never worn. Red flag number 2. Gabriel's first birthday. I arrived with a cake I stayed up all night decorating. Carla met me at the door. We have a professional baker, she said. But you can put yours in the kitchen. It sat next to the trash can. Red flag number 3. The family photos. Every year they took professional pictures. Every year I was placed in the back or cropped out by accident. Carla always said, "We'll take one just with you and Gabriel next time." Next time never came. Red flag number 4. The grocery money. Richard started giving me a little help every month. $200 in an envelope, handed to me like I was a charity case. "Mom, we don't want you worrying about sales and coupons." I took it because I was tired of fighting. Red flag number 5. The comments about my clothes. The moss green dress I loved because Robert said it brought out my eyes. Carla, Mrs. Margaret, maybe something newer. At Gabriel's school play last year, I wore my best navy suit. Carla's mother whispered loud enough for me to hear. In France, grandmother's dress with more elegance. I smiled. I said nothing. Red flag number 6. The way they moved me to the end of the table. Farther and farther every year, until I was practically in another room. Red flag number 7. The way Carla forgot to invite me to Gabriel's baptism, his first communion, his soccer championship. Always oops. I thought Richard told you. Red flag number 8. The time she handed me $20 for gas so you don't have to stop at those sketchy stations. I was driving a 10-year-old Honda. They drove matching BMWs. Red flag number 9. And the worst one. The Christmas 3 years ago, when Carla said, "Mrs. Margaret, maybe this year you could come after dinner? The children get overexcited with so many people." I came after dinner. They were already opening presents. Gabriel ran to me, but Carla intercepted. "Gabriel, Grandma's tired. Let her sit down." I sat in the corner and watched my grandson open gifts from refined grandparents while mine stayed in my purse. Red flag number 10. 15 years of small, sharp cuts. 15 years of swallowing pride like bitter medicine. 15 years of telling myself they mean well, they're busy, things will get better. But after Richard's call, after "don't come this year," I finally admitted the truth. They didn't mean well. They meant control. They meant exclusion. They meant making me small so they could feel big. I stood up from the rocking chair, walked to the window, and looked out at the desert sunset painting the sky orange and pink. Enough. I had $15 million in the bank. I had a beachfront mansion waiting. I had 35 people who loved me without conditions. And I had a grandson who still ran to me with open arms. It was time to stop swallowing. It was time to speak. The days leading up to Christmas flew by in a whirlwind of secret preparations. Every morning I woke up in my small apartment, made coffee in the same chipped mug, wore my old cardigan and comfortable shoes. I kept up the routine, grocery shopping with coupons, calling to check on neighbors, answering Richard's occasional, just checking in calls with my usual gentle voice. They had no idea. Meanwhile, every afternoon I drove to Palm Beach. The mansion was coming alive. Iris, the designer, turned it into a Christmas dream. A 13-foot tree in the great room, decorated with thousands of crystal ornaments that caught the light like diamonds. Garlands of fresh pine draped over the marble fireplaces. The infinity pool lit from below, reflecting the golden bulbs strung through the garden like a fairy tale. The dining table long enough for 40 set with fine china I had shipped from Italy. Crystal stemware that sparkled like stars, and centerpieces of white orchids and red roses. That cost more than Carla's monthly clothing allowance. Chef Philip arrived with his team. A 7-course menu planned. Fresh oysters on ice, lobster bisque in delicate bowls, prime rib carved tableside, beluga caviar served with mother-of-pearl spoons. Dessert, chocolate souffle so light, it floated. The wine list alone was worth more than Richard's car. I walked through every room, touching the exposed beams Robert would have loved, running my fingers along the floor-to-ceiling windows that opened to the private beach. This was mine. All mine. Paid in full. No mortgage. No co-signers. No one to tell me what I could or couldn't do. I invited 35 people. Every aunt, uncle, cousin, old friend Richard and Carla had slowly pushed out over the years. Olivia, my sister, who Carla said talked too much. Maurice, my cousin, the mechanic, who Carla once asked to use the side entrance. Cousin Ruth, the nurse, who Carla hinted should not wear scrubs to parties. Old neighbor Harold, who Carla said was too loud. Every person who had ever felt small in my son's house was now invited to the grandest Christmas of their lives. They all said yes, every single one. Some cried on the phone. Some laughed in disbelief. Some asked if I was sure the address was right. I was sure. The photographer Iris brought arrived early. Professional. Discreet. His job. Capture every moment. Every laugh. Every toast. Every wide-eyed gasp when guests walked through the front doors. Because these photos, these videos, would be my Christmas gift to Richard and Carla. On Christmas Eve, the mansion glowed like a jewel against the dark ocean. Cars began arriving at 6 o'clock sharp. Olivia first, in a beautiful emerald gown, eyes filling with tears the moment she saw the foyer chandelier. Maurice in his family necks, his wife in red velvet, kids dressed like they were going to a ball. One by one they came. Hugs, laughter, stories of old Christmases when we were all together before things changed. Before Carla decided who was worthy. The great room filled with warmth. Real warmth. Not the cold, perfect kind Carla curated. The kind that comes from people who love you even when you have nothing to give. At 7 o'clock we gathered on the veranda for champagne. The ocean stretched endless and black under the stars. I raised my glass. To family, I said. The kind that shows up because they want to. Not because they have to. The kind that loves you in thrift store dresses and celebrates you in champagne gowns. To second chances. And to Christmas miracles. They cheered. Cameras clicked. Videos rolled. At 8 o'clock we sat down to dinner. The table was a vision. Candles flickering. Crystals sparkling. Food that made grown men moan with delight. Morris's youngest leaned over and whispered, "Aunt Margaret, this is better than Disney World." I laughed until tears came. At 9 o'clock my phone started buzzing. Richard. I let it go to voicemail. He called again. And again. Carla. 2. I turned it off. At 10 o'clock Iris uploaded the first photos. Wide shot of the mansion lit up like a palace. Caption. Christmas with the people who truly love me. Grateful beyond words. Within minutes, comments flooded in. Old friends. Distant relatives. Even Gabriel's teacher. Where is this? Is this your house? Margaret, you look like royalty. At 11 o'clock the fireworks started over the ocean. Professional display I hired just for us. Reds and golds and blues exploding above the waves. Everyone ran to the veranda. Children oohing and ahing. Adults hugging. Tears on more than one face. At midnight I posted the video. Me in my champagne gown, raising a glass on the veranda. The mansion blazing behind me. Caption. At 69, I learned it's never too late to celebrate with family who sees your worth. Merry Christmas from my home to yours. I hit post. Then I turned off my phone. Let them see. Let them wonder. Let them realize what they threw away for caviar and standards. Because tomorrow, when they came looking, they would finally meet the real Margaret, the one they never bothered to know. Christmas Day dawned bright and warm in Palm Beach. I woke up in the master suite of my mansion, the king bed facing floor-to-ceiling windows open to the ocean, waves whispering like they were sharing my secrets. For the first time in 15 years, I didn't wake up wondering if I was wanted. I knew I was. Downstairs, the house still smelled like last night's magic pine, cinnamon, and the faint salt of the sea. Iris had left the Christmas lights on. The tree sparkled. The table still held the remnants of dessert plates and half-empty champagne flutes. Olivia was already in the kitchen making coffee. "Morning, millionaire sister," she teased, handing me a cup. "Morning, favorite sister," I teased back. We sat on the veranda watching dolphins play in the distance. My phone was off all night. I turned it on at 9 o'clock sharp. 78 missed calls. 52 from Richard. 26 from Carla. Messages that started confused, turned desperate, ended furious. "Mom, where are you? Whose house is that? This isn't funny. Carla, Mrs. Margaret, call us immediately. This behavior is unacceptable." Richard, "Mom, Gabriel is crying. He doesn't understand why Grandma isn't here." Carla, "We're coming to your apartment. We need to talk." I smiled into my coffee. Let them come. At 10:30, Iris arrived with the professional photos and videos from last night. We sat in the great room and watched the slideshow on the big screen. Me in my champagne gown raising a glass at sunset. 35 faces glowing with real joy. The table laden with food that cost more than their entire Christmas budget. Children dancing under the garden lights. Morris's family taking selfies by the infinity pool. Olivia hugging me with tears in her eyes. Every frame perfect. Post them all, I said. Every single one. Iris uploaded the album to my Facebook, Instagram, and the family group chat. Caption on the final video: me standing on the veranda at midnight. Fireworks exploding above. At 69, I learned the greatest Christmas gift is celebrating with people who love you exactly as you are. No conditions, no judgments, just love. Merry Christmas from my home to yours. Within minutes, the notifications exploded. Hundreds of likes, dozens of shares, comments from people I hadn't spoken to in years. "Margaret, is this your house? You look like a queen." We had no idea. Who are all these people? Why weren't we invited? I let it build. At 11:45, the gate buzzer sounded. Security camera showed Richard's BMW pulling up fast. Richard and Carla got out looking like they hadn't slept. Richard still in yesterday's shirt. Carla's hair a mess. Mascara smudged. Gabriel in the backseat, face pressed to the window. They stood at the gate for a full minute staring at the mansion like it was a mirage. Richard pressed the intercom. Mom, are you in there?" I let them wait. Exactly 5 minutes. Just enough time for them to take in the marble fountain, the manicured gardens, the colonnade entrance that cost more than their house. Then I pressed the button. "Who is it?" I asked, voice calm and sweet. "Mom, it's us. Open the gate." "Us who?" Silence. Richard and Carla. And Gabriel. I waited another 10 seconds. "Come in," I said. but only because Gabriel is with you. The gate opened. They drove slowly up the long driveway, heads turning left and right, taking in every detail. When they reached the front steps, I opened the door myself, wearing my red Christmas dress and the pearl necklace worth more than their car. Gabriel saw me. "First, Grandma," he shouted, running up the steps. I opened my arms and he flew into them. Carla and Richard stood frozen at the bottom of the stairs, mouths open, eyes wide. Richard found his voice first. "Mom, this is yours. All mine," I said. "Paid in full. No mortgage. No co-owners." Carla looked like she might faint. "How?" she whispered. I smiled. "Come inside. We have a lot to discuss." I led them into the great room. The Christmas tree still sparkled. The table still held the remnants of last night's feast. Photos from the party played on a loop on the big screen. Gabriel ran to the tree. "Grandma, it's beautiful. Can I open a present?" "There's one with your name on it," I said, pointing to a big box under the tree. He squealed and dove in. Richard and Carla stood like statues. Richard finally spoke. "Mom, we saw the photos. Everyone's talking. We didn't know. That's the problem." I said calmly, "You never knew me. You never tried." Carla's eyes filled with tears. "Mrs. Margaret, I was wrong. About everything." Richard nodded, face red. "We both were." I looked at them for a long time. Then I gestured to the sofa. "Sit." They sat. Gabriel came running over with his new toy, a remote control boat big enough for the pool. "Look, Grandma, can we try it in the water? After lunch, sweetheart." He ran off to explore. I turned back to my son and daughter-in-law. "For 15 years, I began. I let you make me small. I let you decide I wasn't good enough. I let you exclude me, humiliate me, pity me. But I was never small. I was waiting to see who would love me when they thought I had nothing. And now I know." Carla was crying openly. Richard looked broken. "Mom, what can we do?" "First," I said, "you're going to listen to every story from last night's guests about how you treated them. Second, you're going to apologize to them and to me with actions, not words. Third, Gabriel will spend every weekend here until he's 18. No negotiations. And fourth, you will never again make anyone feel less than because of money, clothes, or standards." Richard nodded slowly. "Yes, Mom," Carla whispered. "I'm so sorry." I looked at them. The children I raised. The children who forgot how to love. "I know you are," I said softly, "and that's why there's still a place for you here. But it's my place now, on my terms." Gabriel came running back. "Grandma, can Mom and Dad stay for lunch?" I looked at Richard and Carla. They looked at me with hope and fear and the beginning of real understanding. "Yes," I said, "they can stay. Family always has a seat at my table when they remember how to earn it." 3 months have passed since that Christmas that changed everything. I sit on my veranda every morning, watching the sun rise over the ocean. Coffee in my favorite mug, the one with the chipped handle Richard once called embarrassing. The mansion is home now. My home. Gabriel comes every weekend. He has his own room, blue walls, a bed big enough for storytime forts, shelves full of books and toys I buy just because I want to. He calls it Grandma's castle. And every time he runs through the door shouting Grandma, my heart heals a little more. Richard and Carla. They're trying. Really trying. Richard comes alone on Tuesdays. We sit on the veranda and talk. Not about money. About life. About mistakes. About the boy he used to be the one who cried when his goldfish died. And begged me to read one more story. I lost sight of you, Mom, he said one afternoon, voice thick. I let Carla's world become mine. I let pride become more important than love. I'm so sorry. I took his hand. I know you are, son. And I forgive you. But forgiveness isn't a magic eraser. It's a door we open slowly. One honest day at a time. Carla took longer. She came in February, alone, wearing a simple dress and no makeup. She stood in the foyer for 5 full minutes before she could speak. Mrs. Margaret, I was cruel. I was insecure. I thought making you small made me big. I was wrong about everything. She cried. Real tears, not the practiced ones. I'm in therapy, she said. I'm learning where my poison came from, and I'm learning how to stop pouring it on the people I love. I don't expect you to trust me, but I want to earn the right to be in Gabriel's life. And yours. If you'll let me. I looked at her for a long time. Then I did something I never thought I would. I hugged her. Not because everything was fixed, but because healing starts with one brave step. Gabriel is the bridge. He spends weekends with me, weekdays with them. He tells me about his mom's therapy, about his dad reading books on kindness, about how they talk about grandma's rules at dinner now. No more talk of standards. No more excluding people. No more making anyone feel small. One Saturday in March, Gabriel asked if Mom and Dad could come for dinner. Just us, he said. Like a real family. I said yes. They arrived nervous. Richard carrying flowers. Carla carrying homemade cookies, simple ones, like I used to make. We ate on the veranda. Lobster from Chef Philip, but also my pecan pie. Gabriel sat between his parents, beaming. At the end of the night, Richard raised his glass. To Mom, he said, the strongest woman I know, the one who taught us, the hard way, what family really means. Carla added softly, and to second chances. Thank you for giving us one. I looked at them. My son, my daughter-in-law, my grandson, my family. Not perfect, but real. I raised my glass. To all of us, I said. To love that learns, to hearts that heal, and to Christmas miracles. Even when they come in March. We clinked glasses. Gabriel hugged me tight. Grandma, he whispered, I love you more than the ocean. I hugged him back. And I love you more than all the stars, sweetheart. That night, after they left, I stood on the veranda alone. The waves whispered. The stars twinkled. And for the first time in 15 years, I felt whole. I am Margaret, 69 years old, owner of a $15 million mansion, builder of an empire, but more importantly, grandma, mother, woman who learned, finally, that respect isn't given, it's demanded, and love, real love, is worth waiting for. If this story touched your heart the way it touched mine, please hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the little bell so we can sit together again real soon. Then tell me down in the comments, where in the world are you watching from tonight? I read every single one, and I can't wait to see your little town light up my screen. And if you needed to hear today that it's never too late to reclaim your dignity, type the words I deserve respect in the comments, because you do, sweetheart. You always do. God bless you. Now go demand the love you deserve.